Alright folks, welcome back to the channel, or an extra one welcome if you're new. I'm Charlie, I sell antlers, animal skulls and various handmade things on my wee online store. I also make videos about various topics because I can't pick a niche. But today's video is basically just a wee behind the scenes of my latest restock. This video was filmed over the course of 2 weeks and it might be a wee bit patchy. But if you like my last store video or you just like RA studio vlogs in general, then grab yourself a coffee, settle in and join me for the next half hour or so. So this is probably not the most exciting start to the video, but to be honest none of this video is particularly exciting, so I've got a bathtub full of skulls that are currently sitting in a tub of hydrogen peroxide. That needs decanted so I can dry them out and glue all the teeth in and then photograph them. But I'm actually not long back from a wee photography session and I went with the best intentions of like filming an aesthetic kind of, session on the river. But I got distracted by all the birds fighting over all the caddisflies that were all dried out and stuck to the, the rocks, all mummified. So yeah, I mostly just filmed birds. But I got some good footage of birds. Despite buggering about with birds, I did get everything that I took with me photographed. My truck isn't well at the moment, so I'm just walking down to my nearest bit river and taking as much stock as I can carry each time I go. It's going to take me a while, and it's a fair bit of effort, but I really hate taking photos of my stuff indoors. Like, I'm jealous of people who can do it well, but it just looks shite when I do it. There was a fair amount of beasties about. I tried to take photos of the swallows snatching up the caddisflies, but they were way too quick for me. There was a lot of flies dead on the rocks, and a lot of stonefly nymphs that had gotten themselves dried out, and I saw a wagtail and a male chaffinch having a scrap over them a few times. This particular task would take a lot less time if I could learn to ignore these things, but it would be a lot less enjoyable. You'll have to excuse my voice, I'm really choked up with hay fever. I never used to get hay fever when I lived near the sea or up near heather, but apparently grass gets me, and there's a whole lot of grass here. Anyway, good morning, or good late morning. It's Friday and it's a roasting hot day, but it's kind of hazy, so I reckon it'll be a good night to get a buck. So probably head out for a stalk later on, but that's hours away and I've got some fresh deer fat that needs rendered, so aye, that's what we're going to do today. So I made some candles out of deer tallow for the reopening of my shop, and Jesus, did they fly off the shelves. I really didn't expect them to do as well as they did, but they did. It seems like there's a lot of demand for them. So I'm going to try and make them a kind of permanent or semi-permanent fixture in my shop, because I love tallow and I'd love to encourage more people to use it. I wanted to share a little insight into the process behind these candles. Rendering fat into tallow requires heating it at a low temperature for a long time and then filtering out the impurities. It's easier to work with whilst it's cold, and a lot of the bloodier parts you see here are to be trimmed off. Now, I considered not showing this in its raw form out of concern it may put some folk off. But that would be disingenuous of me, and one of the main things I want to promote on this channel is knowing where your food comes from. Of course I'm making candles and it's not technically food, but the message still stands. But as an aside, I do like to use tallow for cooking too. It's the exact same process, and deer tallow makes a mean roast potato. I think people would be surprised to find out how many everyday household items contain animal products. Your fabric softeners, your shampoo, your nail polish, the tyres on your car, something had to die to make them. But using products that are either solely or mostly derived from natural materials is far more ethical than using synthetics any day of the week. Wool over polyester, wood over plastic, leather over pleather. It's why I ditched the paraffin and switched to only making beeswax and tallow candles. The first batch I made was from the leaf fat of an adult roe doe. This batch is made from the leaf fat of 2 adult Sika stags and the caul fat of a younger stag. We've been out stalking Sika over the past few days, and we got 4 between us over the course of the 2 evenings. 2 were just young and didn't have much fat on them, but 2 were pretty decent adult stags, and so I've got plenty to work with. The leaf fat sits in around the kidneys and is the best for rendering. The caul encases the intestines and is kind of like a big net. It still renders, but the best use for it is to wrap roasts up for the oven. So the last time I made tallow candles, I posted them in a few Facebook groups, mostly hunting and vulture culture related groups, and they went down an absolute treat. But then, without thinking really, I posted them in a more mainstream handmade group. Cue the angry and crying emoji reacts. Honestly, despite years of being vocal in this industry, I never get much shit from the anti-hunting crowd. Probably because I work quite hard to bridge the gap and everything I post comes from a place of deep respect for the animal. However, this post didn't go down too well, and I had more sympathetic folk telling me I needed to explain why I killed the deer. I used to post a justification on pretty much every post, and in groups like that I'd probably still err on the side of an explanation being worthwhile. The post in that group was really an oversight on my part, but there does come a time where justifications begin to sound like apologies, and when it comes to legal and ethical hunting, there is no apology required. Of course there's a fine line to maintain, an F you attitude gets us nowhere. But we should be defending our hunting culture and our rights, with both strength and a sure-footedness. The point I'm getting at is there is a lot of power in language, and talking about something as if it's normal helps to normalise it. Hunting is normal. It's something our species has done since our earliest days, and as I've said before, it is as human as creating art. It needs to be protected. I hunt because I love every second of being out there, because I have an unwavering reverence for the wildlife and the landscapes on which they thrive, because I prefer a deeper connection to my food. I hunt because I want to, and I don't owe anyone an apology for that. So I'm no long in from work and I am starving. It's about midday, but I'm needing my breakfast. And it's probably not the most nutritionally dense of meals, but on the way home I picked up a new blue cheese I haven't tried before, and I'm going to have a few slices of that with an apple. Don't know what it is, but mouldy cheese just goes so well with fruit. Goat's cheese with pear and blue cheese with apples. If you haven't tried it, I do recommend it. Anyway, I've got to go to the post office and I could really do a shower, but after that I've got a lot of teeth to glue into a lot of skulls, and yeah, probably going to have like a bit of a major listing session because, you know, writing descriptions and pricing things and sorting out the shipping and all that takes a lot of time, and I've got a lot of things to work through, so that'll probably take me up until bed. I've been up since 3, so it'll be an early one tonight. Just while I mind, I'm going to show you my wee business cards that I had made. They're pretty cute. I've made business cards for the previous iterations of my business, and it always seemed like a bit of a waste of money, but now I'm consistently being asked for business cards, so I got some made, and they're nothing flash, just wee squares and a bit of a brief kind of description of what I sell, the pronunciation, because it's hard for some folk, which is understandable. I knew it was going to be when I picked that name, but I like that name. And a wee QR code on the back, so yeah, they're pretty cute. Only got 100 because I'm just giving them out when I meet people, really. And a bit of networking. That was all I had to say about that, so yeah, I'll get on with what I need to do and I'll catch us for gluing some teeth in. Most of the skulls in this restock are Sika stags. There's a few red stags and some big billy goats, but for the most part it is Sika. There is one full Sika hind ready, and there's a lot more and a lot of full roe does to come, but they just need a little bit more time to degrease. You can expect to see them at the end of this month. There is, however, 2 very special deer skulls ready. One unfortunately won't be for sale, but I'll still show you her anyway. So right now I'm undertaking the long process of putting jawbones back together and gluing in teeth. I didn't film the entire process on each one, just a few short clips here and there to give you the gist of what I'm doing.
You took all the worries from my mind. Darling, please forgive me if I stare a little more. I can't look away from those settle down. We don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing.
I can get most pairs of jaws to sit nice whilst the glue sets, but every so often you get one pair that's an absolute pain in the arse and will not sit no matter what you do. So for the next like 15 odd minutes I'm out of action, hudding these together so they dry. I have used elastic bands and clamps and stuff in the past, and like elastic bands work most of the time, but every so often you get one that ends up stuck to the bone. Ooh, horse. Oh no. Not sheep. Aye. Anyway, yeah. Clamps, I've never really found like a pair that doesn't damage the bone or leave marks in the bone. Kind of think I need to build something purposely for it and minimise the risk.
If I ever hurt you, dear, oh, I apologize. Heaven knows I'm no perfect man. I can't take another night without you by my side. Please come home as quickly as you can.
Now this skull has no bottom jaws, but she deserved an honourable mention, as she has survived what appears to be a reasonably gnarly injury. She's a Sika hind and she has a healed hole straight through her nose. Now this is a relatively common injury in stags, often caused by the antlers of other stags during the rut. I have a red stag skull with a similar one, and aggression towards hinds is not unheard of, but this could just as likely be the bullet of a poorly placed headshot not expanding and penciling through. Going by the small entry hole, I think that may be more than likely. But she survived, and you can see where the bone had begun to heal. She's a pretty cool skull, and I feel like a dick for not saving the bottom jaws on this one. So I think I mentioned earlier that I've got two skulls in particular that are really quite interesting. One of them isn't for sale. I mean, if I'm ever desperate for cash, I might sell it, but when my back's old and knackered, because this job tends to take it out of folk, I think I might go into lecturing, and I think this would be a really, really good educational tool. So yeah, this skull is an antlered doe. And not just any antlered doe, it's an antlered doe that seems to be suffering a bit peruke. The sun's just come out and like ruined my day, but yeah, she's not for sale, but her less attractive sister is, if I can get her out from where I've hit her. So a disclaimer, these aren't actually sisters. They were shot at different locations and at different times. And another disclaimer, I don't know if females can actually suffer from peruke, but the way she looked with the velvet on would lead you to believe she had it. Now, antlered does are not as rare as you might think. I mean, in my relatively short career, I've shot 4 of them. But female antler growth in all species, except reindeer, is caused by an imbalance in hormones. We tend to see antler growth in older does, and these two are geriatric. Just look at this one's teeth. A bullet gave these ladies a kinder death than nature had in store for them, that's for sure. So I'm sorry to break your hearts with this one, but the other one will be for sale. I spent the rest of the afternoon listing the things I already had photographed, but I didn't film it because it's awfully boring. I want to restock on Friday, it's Tuesday now, and all I really have left to do is photograph these skulls and list them, but the rain's come on heavy and it's due to stay all tomorrow. So I'm squeezing in a wee session on a painting that I've been working on tonight, and if the weather's true to the forecast, probably most of tomorrow. I'm just trying to get the eye finished tonight. I don't think I'll get the whole thing done before Friday, but I'm hoping to get it finished within the next week or so.
Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along. Darling, tell me all about the dreams you had last night. You can be so restless in your sleep. I ain't going nowhere, always feels so very right. When you find settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time, and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing comes along. If I ever hurt you, dear, oh, I apologize. Heaven knows I'm no perfect man. I can't take another night without you by my side. Please come home as quickly as you can. And if we settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We could take our time, and we may change our mind.
Tiny wee bit of a disaster, but I spent most of yesterday photographing stock. Got home, took the SD card out my camera, went to put it in my laptop, and the tiniest, stupidest wee bit of plastic broke off. And now it won't go in. So that was a few hours of work completely wasted, but it's not the end of the world. I already have about 60 odd things photographed and ready to go, so I'll just go ahead with my restock tomorrow as planned, and do the rest next week when I get a chance to rephotograph this wee batch of skulls. It will mean this video will come out later than I intended, but it gives me more time to film a bit extra. I was supposed to be at a fishing competition this weekend, but it's been postponed to next weekend due to the bad weather. So I'm hoping to squeeze in another session on this brown trout, but I'll probably end up working over the weekend. It definitely won't be ready for this restock. I want to get them finished before the end of the month at least, but before next weekend would be preferable. We'll just see how it plays out. Anyway, the painting that I'm working on, it's supposed to be a big old brown trout in spawning colours, but I'm definitely taking a bit of creative licence with it. I've always loved to paint, but I haven't really shared my paintings much in the past, especially online. Because I don't, and because I can't do realism, I've always held my own work in quite low regard, which is really stupid because when it comes to consuming art, I personally prefer more folky and illustrative styles. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate realism. It takes a lot of earned skill, and I really love wildlife realism. But I also quite like to see the person's hand in their work. I like seeing people's interpretations of things rather than just an accurate thing. It's cool to see through other people's eyes. I would like to paint more often, and I've got a wee goal to finish every canvas I own this year, because I'm a bugger for abandoning work. But finding the time is hard, and finding the motivation is harder. I'm a bit overly self-critical, and I can't justify spending the time on it just to do it for fun, because it's time that could have been spent making something to sell or actually working. And for the goals I have in life, i.e. home ownership, which shouldn't be such an unattainable goal, I've got to keep grafting, and I feel guilty when I don't. That's a whole issue in itself, but to get around that guilt, I've decided to just paint things that I would quite like hanging in my own home. Put them up for sale, and if they don't sell, then it doesn't matter. I've got something original to hang on my wall. If it does sell, then awesome. I've just got a bill paid or some grocery money, and the empty space on my wall will just encourage me to paint again. Either way, it's been done for a reason and not just because I want to. Which is mad, because we should be able to do things just because we enjoy them. But I feel those slots in my life are already taken up with fishing and hiking and now YouTube. And I don't know why I consider painting less valid than those hobbies, but I sure seem to. Let's stop picking apart my psychology and talk about trout, because that is so much more interesting. I don't do much freshwater fishing. I'd like to, but I'm more of a saltwater girly, but I am obsessed with trout. I think they're beautiful, and I like how happy they make men. That sounds weird, and this is not a gender thing, more just personal experience that I have seen happen on 3 separate occasions, but I've known a few men that have been going through it. Friends and colleagues, and they're dour, they're lacking energy, they're clearly having a tough time. Then they catch a good trout, and all of a sudden they've got a glow. And it lasts for like a week before it fades, but you get a solid few days where you see them genuinely happy, and it's lovely. First time I saw it was with one of my head keepers, and I've seen it in 2 friends since, and it is for that reason that I've decided truths are magic, and I wanted to paint a nice big old brown feryx. Happy Saturday. I am ecstatic, even though I probably don't look it. I'm knackered. I've been up for a while. But yeah, about 15 hours ago I made all the listings that I had ready live, and since then I've had 7 orders. Todd, come here you. Alright, Buck. I don't know which one's causing trouble. Give me a minute. Oh, puppy. So, thank you so much to everyone who placed an order. It really, really means a lot. So this was another kind of chaotic video. Honestly, it's only about half of what I actually wanted to film. I would have liked to put the process of making my antler keyrings in this video too, but life stuff happened and I just didn't have the time to film each and every step of getting ready for this restock. But hey, I sure am getting quicker at editing. The goal with these kind of videos is just practice really, and of course to shill my wares. I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. This is just one big ad for my deed things. But I'm trying to get more comfortable talking to the camera and better at documenting things. Partly because I'd like more videos like the ones already on my channel for my own memory's sake, but also because I have a few ideas for some short films that I want to make, but just do not yet have the skill nor the confidence to pull them off. We'll get there though. I've got a few deer stalking videos on the nearish horizon, and of course there will be another Colorado series this year, but in the meantime, you've got fishing and weird wee vlogs like this one. So far, your custom has covered the annual running costs of my website and my flights to Colorado this year. And I am so grateful to y'all. I posted these orders out on Monday and I didn't get much else filmed over the following week. Between working, herding cats, editing this video and packaging more orders, I just didn't have the time. But midweek, I got the chance to rephotograph the rest of my stock and take some more photos of birds. Everything will be made live on Friday the 14th, and this video will be posted on the same day. Obviously some of the stock that I posted last Friday has since sold out, but if you made it this far in the video, thank you. Here's a discount code that you can use until the 1st of July. This code is exclusive to people who have watched this video because I didn't post it anywhere else. It'll get you 15% off and it's Roebuck24, all caps, no spaces. Just enter it at checkout if there's anything you fancy. Now I've rambled long enough. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next video, which will more than likely be about fishing.